Mary, in Watford, what would you like to tell me?
Hello, nice
Hi
to
there.
talk to you.
Lovely to get your call.
Yes, my son is actually in prison at the moment,
Right.
and he's been in there for about 4 weeks, and he hasn't had any medication for his anxiety. He hasn't had any clothes. It's absolutely disgusting. The staff aren't listening to anybody. He had to wait 2 days to get a toilet roll. He's got no mirror in his cell. Some cells, the windows are blocked off with a sheet of plastic and holes are drilled in them by the staff.
So they don't have any light?
Any air in their cell.
Air or light? Oh, awful. Mary, I mean, you must be beside yourself.
Well, it's really worrying because I think, well, why is there a sheet of plastic covering
Have you been to see him? Are you allowed to see him?
I saw him last week.
Okay. And how was he?
He's quite stressed because no one's listening to him. They're saying that they're short-staffed. They can't give him any medication. But he's been in there 4 weeks and he's had no medication. He's literally starting to lose it now because they're in their cells 23 hours a day.
Why? What's the excuse given for incarcerating someone for 23 hours a day? It's inhumane.
Short-staffed.
Right.
But when 4 o'clock comes for dinner, there's like 30 staff on the landing, so they're not short-staffed there. And today they actually locked the showers up so no one could have a shower, and there was a big kick-off.
How do you know that? You spoke to him?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, they won't put none of his phone numbers on. He's been waiting 4 weeks. I'm the only phone number that he's actually had put on his phone call list.
So what's his day-to-day like? How can he speak to you? How on earth is a boy, I don't know how old your son is, after, spending so much of the day, the 24 hours...
literally losing it.
How many people in his cell?
2.
Right.
And you can't pass each other. You've got to stand in the corner to let the other one pass.
Oh.
And the cell that they was in, the shower curtain, which you have a privacy to go toilet, was hanging down, and they only had 2 little slat windows at the top, which wasn't blowing any air in. So now they've been moved over to another cell, which they've got a bigger window. But I mean, he's asked to speak to the governor. He saw the governor today, said, "Can I speak to you?"
Yeah.
And the governor ignored him, didn't even bother to go and see him. He's asked twice to speak to the governor. He's asked God knows how many times, how many members of staff, "Can you please put my phone numbers on? I need to contact my solicitor." The solicitor's complaining as well to the prison. The people who he gets his medication off.
Yeah.
They told my son, "You're buying dodgy medication," but it's not. It's a national health site. And so they've had to send all the paperwork over to the prison to say, look, it's all legal, his medication, and yet they still haven't given it to him. He's starting to lose it now.
Doesn't he have a right to have a medication?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and he has a prescription for it and everything. He didn't just bring it in and say, "I need this."
No, he didn't even bring it in. He got arrested and then he got put on remand.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't want. I know you don't want to say where he is, but Mary, would you be able to tell us why he is in prison? And is he on remand, or has he been convicted, or is he serving a part of a sentence, or what?
No, he's on remand at the moment for driving on the ban.
Okay, 4 weeks for a driving offence.
Yes, yeah, and he didn't have any medication on him when he got arrested, so he's literally had nothing. So everyone in the prison now is starting to lose it. One of the screws got dragged in the showers today, and I think he got beaten up.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, they said...
you want people to work in prisons. It's not right that the staff are being assaulted.
It's the attitude of the staff. The staff are like 18 to 20-year-olds standing there like a cowboy, giving it all large to the people in there.
I know, but would you want your 18 to 20-year-old boy to go off and work in a prison? I mean, you've got to feel sorry for them too, surely, Mary.
Oh, no, I wouldn't really, no.
Okay,
not the money that they get and the job that they have to do. It's very, very badly paid.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind it. Mary, just stay on the line. I think I might want to bring in Simon, who actually works in a prison. So just stay there. Simon, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
So you've heard of the treatment that Mary's son has been experiencing or not receiving?
I heard some of it because I was talking to your researcher at the time. So
essentially, son's on a medication for anxiety. He hasn't received it, hasn't seen the prison governor. His cell has got a plastic sheet. There are 3 of them to the cell. One of them has to go and to stand in a corner for them to pass each other. The shower block has been locked, and a prison officer was assaulted yesterday. Does this sound like your average day in an English prison, Simon?
Most definitely. I've been working in healthcare in prison for about a year now. I started off in a youth offenders, and I actually left there because the violence was actually so intense and palpable.
Right.
And there was an actual incident which happened right in front of me, which shook me up so much. So I left there, took on another position, or actually 2 positions in London, in 2 Category B prisons in London, for which I've been there for about a year. I was explaining to your researcher that clinics are actually cancelled quite often. They have been, particularly during the summer, because there aren't enough prison officers to bring the prisoners to the actual healthcare unit. So we're going, with my other colleagues, going there to try and, do our jobs and as best as we can. And we're not seeing any patients at all because they're actually not being brought in.
They haven't got the staff to escort the prisoners into the healthcare units.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, in one of the prisons that I work at, there's meant to be a certain number. I won't go into, for security reasons, how many prison officers are meant to be in on a particular day. But they were literally down near enough half that they needed for that day.
But what are the reasons why? Is it low morale? I know the pay's not great. I know the conditions are bad. I know it's dangerous. I hate saying this, but it seems to me miraculous that people like you and others are prepared to work in prisons, given the condition, your working conditions, Simon.
Yes, I suppose it's...
Is it a vocation?
It's a vocation. It's also a bit different from our general clinical practice that we do. So that's part of it. But I think the percentage is, I remember before even going into healthcare in prisons, that I think the percentage or the amount is that within 7 months, normally a healthcare worker of any particular type of leaves because they can't take sort of either the pressure or the situation and the surroundings.
Simon, you're not a prison officer. You are a clinician, but you work in prisons because it rings the changes, and it's very interesting. Mary, does it reassure you to hear Simon, who's a doctor who actually works in prisons, that the one of the problems that your son is actually bearing the brunt of is just really, really low staffing levels?
To go to court in London, and the court, the remand place, where is it, the police station, wouldn't bring him. So the judge remanded him because of that, but it wasn't his fault.
So we missed the beginning of that. Your son's remanded because there wasn't the staff to get him to the court. Yeah.
So the judge didn't like it and remanded him.
But it wasn't your son's fault, was it?
No. But the judge wouldn't listen to it. But there you go.